Okay, so now we're ready for the fourth and final round of this league challenge. Alyssa is back in action on the right with her Raging Bolt deck, and on the left we have Brandon, but it's not the Brandon we saw previously. This is a different Brandon, and he's actually bringing to the table a Gardevoir deck. So Brandon with Gardevoir versus Alyssa with that Raging Bolt deck. Potentially a slight advantage to Brandon, but Brandon is coming into the round with a 2-1 record as opposed to Alyssa's 3-0 record. So we'll see how things go right now. See, Brandon starting that Monkey Dory, and Alyssa getting the first turn off. Brandon chose Monkey Dory over at least the possibility of starting a Ralts. That's probably because he wants to evolve the Ralts up if he's able to get to like a TM evolution. Alyssa starting with Sandy Shocks, benching a single prize Sandy Shocks, and then a Squawkabilly EX as well to draw more cards. See a Teal Mask Ogerpon come into play, and a Nest Ball will probably bring a Raging Bolt. There we go. Now, unfortunately for Alyssa, her board is starting to get crammed full of different Pokemon. She's not going to be able to have a Greninja and 3 Ogerpons the way that she did last game against Nick. However, she can still make some things happen here. So we see a Teal Dance get off, drawing 1, and Earthen Vessel discarding another Grass Energy to get a Lightning and a Fighting Energy. My guess is we'll see one of these energies attached to the Raging Bolt on the bench, and we may just see the other one stay in hand for Alyssa. There we go, she chooses to attach the Fighting Energy to the Raging Bolt, and already this start, it feels much worse than her start last game. Now, she did start going second last game, so she was able to play a supporter, and this time she wasn't able to. But Brandon, starting off with a Nest Ball, going through, looking at his deck, potentially grabbing a second Ralts. It looks like he hasn't completely settled on what he's picking just yet. We do see a Radiant Greninja in there as well, and he did have an energy card in deck or in hand. So he may choose Radiant Greninja to go ahead and conceal cards, use conceal cards to get rid of that energy, hoping that he can, dig a little deeper and pull something that can get more than just a Ralts out for him. Him go ahead, launch into concealed cards, drawing 2 new cards after discarding that energy. He does jump into a reset. I'm sorry, an unfair stamp. I'm guilty of the reset stamp, unfair stamp confusion. I fall victim to that just as much as anyone else. It's interesting to note that he didn't attach any energy anywhere. That's again a choice that Brandon made, because he certainly could have. I don't know that he had any extra energy beyond the 1, so maybe he's thinking that an attachment is less important than having something that you can conceal away next turn to draw more cards. Well, it's now bringing down the Radiant Greninja, meaning she will be stuck with just one Teal Mask Ogerpon for the game until something gets knocked out. We see that she was unable to get to a Professor Sada's Vitality, and well, that's not a horrible thing for her. She does need a way to get the Raging Bolt into the active if it's going to attack. Oh, and I'm sorry, she may have concealed away the Lightning Energy as well. So that's a little bit, yeah, so she's really kind of stuck now. She can play a Prime Catcher, but I'm not sure that the Prime Catcher even really helps her. Instead, she's playing a Super Rod to get 2 energy back, put them into the deck. And my guess is we're going to see that Prime Catcher played to bring up Radiant Greninja, and then she will use the first attack on Raging Bolt. Oh no, she instead chooses to send up the single prize Sandy Shocks, and presumably just pass. I was expecting to see the first attack from Raging Bolt, which discards the hand and draws 6 new cards. I thought we were going to see that happen, but indeed we did not. So, fortunately for Brandon, Alyssa has not been able to take advantage of his very limited setup. If she can find a way to knock out the 1 Ralts he has in play before he gets more things going, it could be very hard for Brandon in this game. Would have been a perfect opportunity with the Prime Catcher too, if she had been able to hang on to the energy to make it happen. We do see now a Buddy Buddy Poffin coming out to get 2 more Ralts down, and now suddenly the first Ralts that we were looking at, does not feel quite as vulnerable. We do see an evolution from that Ralts up to a Kirlia, and Refinement getting rid of another Psychic Energy in order to draw 2 more cards, but still Brandon left with nothing he can do offensively. We can't even use the Evolution TM to evolve those other 2 Ralts. Alyssa, however, just has to pass her turn. Just a draw pass turn there. We'll see Brandon comes into the second Kirlia, uses both Refinement abilities, and is starting to amass a pretty decent looking hand of cards there. We'll see an Ultra Ball now, discarding Rare Candy and Nest Ball to get a third Kirlia out. I might have expected to see a Gardevoir come down here, but looks like no, we are settling on that Kirlia. So after the Kirlia gets played, we'll for sure see one more Refinement as Brandon continues to dig further in the deck. Now, the fact that Greninja is in the active may be part of the reason that he didn't get a Gardevoir here, since Gardevoir is not able to accelerate energies onto Radiant Greninja. We see refining away the Rare Candy, and then just another pass. And did Alyssa have to pass again? Yes, she did. So Turo is able to come out and pick up the Radiant Greninja, which then gets refined away from the first Kirlia. The second and third Kirlia are refining away other resources that are mostly unnecessary at this point. And unfortunately, we did not get to a Gardevoir. Brandon does have a Professor's Research in hand, and he can get some energies with an Earthen Vessel. So my guess is we'll see him attach the Dark Energy to Monkey Dory, and then play Professor's Research, discarding that additional Psychic Energy along with the rest of his hand, hoping that he then is able to reach deep into the deck far enough to find Gardevoir EX. But it appears after attaching the energy, Brandon just passed. Oh, because he started the turn with Toro, so he had to pass. Alyssa finally reaches the draw supporter with Iono, so she is actually able to make something happen finally, but still not able to grab and make the ideal plays. She is getting an Earthen Vessel out here. My assumption is that we will see her a Lightning and a Grass Energy. See, I was expecting a Fighting Energy and then one of these. I could have seen either one. Maybe she has a Fighting Energy in hand, or maybe just a switch card. Okay, so Teal Dance, attaching the energy here. She still needs to draw the card for that Teal Dance. I'm not sure what the two are discussing now. Okay, so that may have just been an attachment for turn instead of a Teal Dance. We see Pokestop grabbing 3 items. Powpad bringing 2 Sadas back into the deck to help Alyssa find them going forward. Both players are still sitting with the same 6 prize card count, but unfortunately Alyssa, I would say, definitely has the worst of it as far as her board state is concerned. She does pass back to Brandon. No, she was not passing. I'm sorry. The lack of audio here coming in to cause problems. We see an Earthen Vessel discarding a Raging Bolt, and once again we see a Lightning and a Grass Energy. Now, she should not be able to attach the Lightning Energy, but she does. So I think that she forgot to draw a card back when on the potential Teal Dance play. She never drew a card for turn. Unfortunately, both sides overlooked that, and we just have to move on. Artisan gets played down to replace the Pokestop, and we see another Monkey Dory come out. And my guess is we're about to see that Professor's Research that Brandon found last turn played to dig us deep into his deck. It's always a possibility that he could choose to do a series of refinements first, on the off chance that he finds a better supporter to use for this turn. We did see another dark energy come into play, which can be used to enable sort of a double duty effect with both Monkey Dories. We do see Brandon attach that dark energy, and he has one refinement left, and he has an Ultra Ball, choosing to use the Ultra Ball rather than resolving the final refinement first. That's fine. He gets a Gardevoir EX, and this Gardevoir will be able to attach all kinds of energy. Not all kinds, it's just psychic, but a lot of psychic energy is available at this point in time. We see the evolution up. We see, it looks like three energy accelerated, which puts 60 damage onto the Fluttermane, but then both Monkey Dories use their Return to Brain abilities to move that 60 damage entirely off. And then with Fluttermane's attack placing 2 damage counters, the Raging Bolt, that is the only major attacker in play on Alyssa's side of the field, now has 80 damage on it. Also attaches another energy to the Sandy Shocks for turn, and then chooses to retreat it, and sends up the Raging Bolt. She does have Professor Sawdust Vitality in hand, and that looks like what she's going for. She's attaching a Lightning Energy to the active now, and the Sandy Shocks could get an attachment as well, but no. Instead of attaching a Lightning Energy to the Sandy Shocks EX, I think that's a better choice, because Sandy Shocks EX can be an attacker, perhaps a more effective attacker than the baby Sandy Shocks. I'm not sure what else Alyssa may be needing to do here, but I suspect we're going to end. She may be trying to find a way to see if she has any cards available to try to gust up the Gardevoir. And certainly that's the best play if she can pull it off. Greninja is going to go ahead and conceal cards again, sending away a Grass Energy. I do not believe we've seen a Teal Dance just yet for this turn, so we could see one Teal Dance play potentially, but no. Instead, she just chooses to go ahead and land her attack, discarding 2 energies in order to make the attack happen. Brandon's considering how much damage is already on the Raging Bolt, and sends up a Gardevoir as his next Pokemon of choice. See a Screamtail come down the bench, and a Boss's Orders to bring Radiant Greninja up, followed very quickly by a Reset Stamp to take Alyssa's hand all the way down to 2 cards. Of course, Reset Stamp, Unfair Stamp. I did it again. Unfair Stamp only being allowed to be played because Alyssa did take a knockout last turn. So I suspect we may see Gardevoir retreat into the Screamtail, and then we may see damage moved off of the Gardevoir to perhaps the Raging Bolt, perhaps another target, with Screamtail then going after and taking a knockout on the Squawkabilly EX. We see 2 energy accelerated onto the Gardevoir. And we see, looks like 4 onto Screamtail. So that is 8 damage counters on the Screamtail. And Monkey Dory moves. Ends up moving 4 damage off of the Gardevoir and onto the Sandy Shocks. While Screamtail then provides the final damage necessary to knock out that Raging Bolt. Players are now, actually Brandon is now ahead on prize count. And Alyssa has very little developed in terms of an attacker. I'm not sure what card Alyssa's played. Maybe she's playing. I think she's going through her deck with Artisan to see if there's a single prize Pokemon she wants to pull out. I don't think there. I was gonna say I don't think there are many choices that would be left in her deck when she chooses to fail the search. But she follows quickly with a Nest Ball. Didn't need to let Brandon do the, she didn't need to complete a shuffle. She didn't need to have Brandon cut the deck there if she was going back in. But certainly no harm, no foul in these situations. And it looks like Alyssa did end up just having to pass this turn. So unfortunately, that Unfair Stamp from Brandon really, really did have a strong impact on her ability to go forward. And it looks like we may just be seeing Screamtail take 2 more prizes here very quickly. So Monkey Dory. Okay, Monkey Dory taking 2 damage off of the Screamtail to lower Sandy Shocks down to 160 HP remaining, and then Gardevoir Psychic Embracing 1 more energy on to bring the damage back up so that the Screamtail can attack for a full 160 damage. And all that remains would be for Screamtail to make that same play, knocking out the Squawkabilly EX, and Brandon would lock up the victory here. It looks like Alyssa is about to play a Professor Sada's Vitality, which she got off of the Pokegear there. And we do see a Lightning Energy. Well, that's unexpected. Just a Lightning Energy attached to the Sandy Shocks. I would have definitely expected Sandy Shocks to get a Fighting Energy, if anything, and for the Raging Bolt to get a Lightning Energy. Alyssa choosing then to use the Teal Dance and attach an energy to the Teal Mask Ogerpon. But I'm concerned here. It looks like she may have nothing. She does have a switching card in hand, but she may have no other options but to attack with Teal Mask Ogerpon. Yeah, playing that switch card. And as Teal Mask Ogerpon goes up, it will take a knockout on the Screamtail here, but Gardevoir EX can just reattach all the energies necessary, the 3 energies, using Psychic Embrace to... Oh, am I speaking too soon? Pokegear bringing up a Kirlia. So there won't even be an attack at this point. I wonder if Alyssa has looked at the decks. Yeah, it looks like Brandon's deck is very short on energy cards, on cards in general. So maybe if she can get this Kirlia stuck, it would enable her to win by decking her opponent out. That wasn't a tactic that I was expecting to see, specifically from the Raging Bolt side of this matchup, but it certainly could work. I mean, we know, looking at it, that Kirlia is, that there's plenty of energy to eventually retreat the Kirlia, and by discarding 1, Brandon can now attach for turn onto the Kirlia, and then, almost playing the Ayano, but not quite. Okay, so what I believe we're going to see is an attach return onto the Kirlia plus a Psychic a Psychic Embrace onto the Kirlia to enable it to retreat. And then it can just retreat into the Screamtail. And then at this point, yes, Squawkabilly will go down and the game will end. Alyssa's showing now that she actually prized 2 of the 3 fighting energies from her deck. So it certainly will cause some problems there. Especially given that she started so many of the fighting specific Pokemon. But as it turns out, Brandon wins the match, so he becomes 3-1. Alyssa, of course, is now 3-1. Nick, from the round before, is also 3-1. So we had a good old-fashioned tie with the winners determined by our favorite factor, resistance, or opponent's win rate. Lucky for Nick, he managed to, in the final round, play against the undefeated senior player in the tournament, and he won, which actually was enough to push Nick's resistance, his opponent's win rate, past the point of Alyssa's opponent's win rate and Brandon's opponent win rate. So Nick ended up with his Lugia deck taking the win in our tournament here, followed by Brandon in 2nd place, Alyssa in 3rd place, and a unique deck, a Palafin EX deck piloted by Ian, Nick's brother. I started to say little brother, they're actually twins. But a Palafin EX deck piloted by Nick's brother took up the 4th place spot. We, I guess, should shout out to Aaron West. Once again, he also finished with a 3-1 record, but he had, unfortunately, the lowest opponent win rate of all of the players with the 3-1 record, so he finished in 5th place. With that, we'll go ahead, wrap up for today. We'll be done with this review, and we'll be back actually next week with another of these, except it'll be looking at a cup, because we're holding our Twilight Masquerade League Cup this weekend. This has been Jeffrey, JGB146 Blake for Hoop Hideout. I thank you for watching this far, if you made it this far, and I will see you next time.